How's it going, guys? Resurrected, aka Vibe Res, back to another video. And in recent years, Call of Duty as a franchise that we love so much has been dying, and it's pretty reasonable that it's dying. And we're gonna go over why it's dying in this video. Today, I'm joined with Vibe Sky. So Call of Duty is a first-person shooter, so there's like very limited options you can do with that. It's pretty much just like shooting while you're in a first-person view. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, I will say that this Call of Duty World War II, has took some very innovative steps on making it more enjoyable and less repetitive by adding seasonal game modes, I guess you can say, like the prop hunt, horde, or whatever this is called, horde point. So majority of the past few CODs have been really repetitive by just running, gunning, and shooting with different maps, different weapons, and different scenarios, I guess you can say. But the maps are different, but not really different. Most of them have 3 paths you can go through that lead up to one middle section. So they're pretty much all the same map, just with different textures over them.
I really think the COD map scheme has just become really bland, and it's the same thing. There's no elevation like there used to be, and it seems like the maps are just really all the same. If you think about it, you can either go left, middle, or right, and that's about it. Because in World War II, it seems like all the maps were made like that. There's no place to really have a certain advantage at. And it really just takes an aspect out of the game that we used to have a while ago. But in the teaser, Treyarch talked about that there's gonna be this big map, like nothing that we've ever seen before, in the Battle Royale mode. So I feel like, honestly, this game really needs to have some type of map change, because honestly this game was unacceptable with the maps that they had.
Now, speaking of repetition, weapon balancing. There's always been just, a really good SMG and a really good AR. No diversity. Now, Call of Duty World War II has kind of flip-flopped it a little bit. There's been, FG-42 was really good at one point. The bar is really good. And it's been kind of this game's been a little bit better about it, but overall it's still one dominant SMG, one dominant AR. And they really need to do something on weapon balancing in the next COD if they want it to, thrive. Because if you take other games, for example, Fortnite, the biggest game right now, you can do good with almost any weapon. You can melt with a shotgun, AR, LMG. It doesn't really matter. Every gun is good at its own versatility. And you can say that with I guess some weapons in this game, but overall, if you want to do good competitive wise, you're not going to be running with an LMG or some not mainstream SMG. It's always just going to be those mainstream guns. Every Call of Duty has done this. Advanced Warfare was the BAL and ASM-1, and BO3 it was the VMP and M881. This game is the PPSH and BAR. If you look at every COD in the past, well, maybe not every COD, but the more recent CODs, it's always been just majority, just 2 mainstream weapons that everyone's used. And they try to combat this by making other guns better or worse. And they just never do a good job at balancing it out.
Speaking of keeping up with Fortnite, I think Call of Duty really needs to get in the trend of coming out with updates weekly, because honestly, not gonna keep up. Fortnite's always adding new content, they're always fixing glitches and stuff, so I think it's a really big deal that Call of Duty stops these big updates every once in a while and just does a bunch of updates, keeps the game up to date, keeps it fresh so people want to play it. Because usually what happens, people will buy Call of Duty, they'll play it for a month, they'll get bored of it, put it up, then Call of Duty has to come out with some big update to get a few people on again, but it doesn't keep them for long. So I think a big part of this is they just need to keep the attention of their players.
So the game modes and playlists of Call of Duty has been pretty much the same broad, just, team deathmatch, domination, hardpoint for the past years. And they've never really done much to change it. And this Call of Duty and Modern Warfare Remastered, they've added some new game modes, but it's not going to be enough. I do think they should keep the traditional, game modes that they had in the OG CODs for nostalgic sake and stuff like that. And some of them are still fun, like Team Deathmatch is really good just to chill on and hang out with a few bros. But I really feel like they need to start switching stuff up drastically. Like they tried with Uplink, which I think was pretty nice when that came out in Advanced Warfare. But they don't really come out with many new game modes that rely on just having fun and just being goofy, because I feel like COD as a game is way too serious. So they want to try to make everything as realistic as possible, even though they don't really do a good job at it. They don't want to just step out the comfort zone. Like, you know, Battlefield's the game that for if you want a realistic gameplay, you go play that. COD's an arcade shooter. Keep it an arcade shooter.
If we're giving them our money for the game and they're making tons of money off of it, it's really not a lot to ask to constantly be getting updates, because if Fortnite's a free game, free to play, and they're willing to do those updates, then if we're paying $60 for a game, shouldn't we expect the same thing? I think Fortnite's completely changed the way we should be looking at gaming as a whole. It's turned everything completely around. So, Call of Duty, you have to step it up this time. This is so overlooked as a game feature. I've been saying this for years, even before Fortnite came out with it. Call of Duty needs a trading system. And I'm here to tell you why. Okay, if there's a trading system, that means that there's items rare enough that people want, that they're willing to play for. And if people are willing to play for it, that means that there's more game time. And especially the more rare items that you make, the more people are going to want to work for them. And that's what keeps a game going for a long, long time. And I think Call of Duty is honestly lacking on this. They make a game each year, expecting it just to last for a year. Usually, it doesn't even do that. So at least having a trading system, even if the game is going to be for 1 year, it could still like increase the longevity of it. Maybe just not make everything as rare. But for example, okay, CSGO has been around for a long time. It has a trading system, and honestly, I think that's one of the big reasons it stayed alive for so long. So I think a trading system would just increase the longevity of COD, make it more interesting, and it would just give people more of a reason to grind it.
I think a trading system would lead on to some like toxic community members, like scams and such as that, but I feel like they should have some sort of like protection against that. Right? I mean, it couldn't be that hard to do. Like, I mean, I'm not a game developer, but having some sort of protection against scams, I think would be good. And they're going to have to do something like when they're trading with a random person online that you like. If everyone has like a bunch of common stuff they could throw in, like it should make the trade more valuable, because you're just going to be trading like a rare item for another rare item. There's no really win-win. You pretty much lose a rare item for a rare item, where you could trade like 3 commons for a rare. Like, there needs to be some sort of way that like everything has a certain value to it, that's not like just based off rarity, that's based off like trade value. Because something should be common, but it should, let's just say like a 10-star, there's like 10-star ratings. Like a common item can range from like a 1-star trade value to like a 3-star, depending on like how cool, like quote unquote cool it is. And something like a legendary item has like a 9-star rating, so like your rating has to like match, like your trade and their trade should have to like match or something like that, because then you'll have people that have to trade their really cool stuff to get something that's cool, but they don't want to get rid of it. So they need to have something where it entices people to trade. And you know, just throw in, like, you see this in like a bunch of stuff, like just take sports for example. I know it's like actual trading and not virtual, but they'll trade a really good player for 2 decent players, and that's how it should be in like this game. You should trade a really good item for 2 like okay items. So there should have to be a trade value and a like a rarity, obviously. And if they do this, I think COD points would ruin it, because people are just gonna go out and like spend thousands of dollars with their mom's credit card on buying stuff, and just like, whoa, we're so cool, we can use mom's credit card and use pay to win. So I think COD points are, it's good for a business standpoint, but if you're gonna add a trading system, COD points are absolutely useless. Now, there are 3 developers for Call of Duty. 1, my favorite, Infinity War. 2, everyone else's favorite, Treyarch. And 3, just the odd one out, Sledgehammer. Now, people like have their favorites. Like I said, Infinity War is my favorite, but that's just based off of how they design the game. But the way they design the game, the direction they want to go, the gameplay aspect, people always are quickly to blame Treyarch, Sledgehammer, or like Infinity Ward, because Infinite Warfare received a lot of hate, but they weren't the ones that made the game up. It was Activision. Activision does all their funding. They do all their promotion deals. So Activision having like money grabber aspects of it, there's money grabbers basically. That's why supply drops became a thing. So I feel like they should let the developers like let loose and do a passion game, because if you look at other like companies that have done this, look at Battlefield 1. That was a passion project, and in my opinion, Battlefield 1 was a really great game. You could feel that they wanted to make that game. You don't really feel that in Call of Duty anymore. Maybe in like the older Black Ops, Modern Warfare series and stuff like that, like the older ones, you could feel that they really enjoyed what they were doing. But nowadays, you don't feel that same passion that you would back then. It's pretty much just like, we have 3 years to make this game, and it needs to sell well, so let's just get this over with. Where there's no really just... when it's a passion project, they're going to spend a lot more time on finer details and just things they enjoy, because if the developers aren't enjoying making the game's not going to be good. You're not going to enjoy it. And you're losing that by trying to make it a money grab, because you're being forced by Activision to do stuff you don't want your game to be, because this is their game, because they're making it, but they have to make it based off what Activision tells them to make it. So, like, let's replay it back into BO3. Von Har made a tweet that everything's going to be cosmetic only in supply drops. Like, a few months later, Activision was like, nope, we're having pay-to-win items. And, you know, that's just ruined it for Von Har. You know, he left the internet for, like, months because he didn't want to receive the, like, feedback. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you like it. Leave a dislike if you didn't like it, I guess. Leave a comment on your thoughts. And if you want to see a video of us explaining what Call of Duty needs to do to become a successful franchise again and take over the gaming world again, make sure to check out Vibe Sky's channel. I'll have the link in the description, and yeah, see you later.